Welcome YouTube. Hey, this is Scott with Wild Camp South. We are in the Kisatchie Nation Forest this weekend. We are primarily here to do some recon scouting for wild camps for the Kisatchie Ranger District. But we're also going to make a base camp and wild camp there as well. So it's been quite a while since we've been able to have campfires due to a drought and fire bans, so it's going to be nice to finally wild camp, you know, beyond just having a light. We'll actually be able to have our campfires now. So we're scouting around now. Hang in there, and we'll bring you some more action and tips about wild camping here in Kisatchie Nation Forest. All right, we are packed up and ready to go into the woods. I already have a off-trail track that is set for watermelon wild camp. We are using our Onyx maps on our little wrist strap here. Pretty cool, so I don't have to hold the phone constantly. I can just glance at it as I'm navigating. So let's get in. It is 3:41. It's getting dark a little later, right? Because we are February 23rd. So days are starting to get longer. Spring is knocking on the door. It'll be here quick. So let's go. So you can kind of see I just made like a big dog leg loop, kind of a flank. So the red track is my new track that's still tracking me and recording. The yellow, as you can see, is much shorter route track. That's the off trail. You can see it's leading from the Forest Service Road straight into wild camp, whereas the actual trail is much longer. So that's why we do these little tests. So camp is right up here. That's one thing, folks. If you're a wild camper, you're gonna have to get used to uneven terrain, stump holes. But what I try to do is make things where it's pretty flat to get in. So this is camp right here. You can see where I had my fire last time. I just kind of left it in a diamond pattern. But yeah, and if you notice how beautiful it is in here, how open. Beauty. Of course, that's where we just came from. So we're gonna get camp set up before it gets dark because we got wood processing to do. Be right back. And voila, camp is established. That is the Haven XL. I'm sure everybody has heard of the Haven XL tent hammock hybrid. I actually have a first overview on my channel if you'd like to see that. Everything, all my gear that I use here today will be in the descriptions below. I'm gonna make another walk back to the truck, get my little ice chest, additional water, and I will be back. Well, the sun has set. I got me a little fire going. And I'm enjoying. The camera can't, the little camera can't focus on me. No. You can barely see me. But I am enjoying the old Coors Banquet. Yes. Not that Coors Light crap, but Coors Banquet. It could be a possum or a raccoon. Well, I got my little radio going. I'll show it to you tomorrow.
Gives the Chiefs a 12 to 10 lead. Quickly up court, it's Zerner.
I just wanted to take a moment right here and talk about the importance of mapping and traveling, especially through a national forest. Everybody wants to know where to wild camp at and find these great spots, but once you get off the beaten path and cell service is sketchy, just traveling the back roads, which means it could be blacktop county or parish roads, then you have your rock roads, then you have your forest service roads. You can spend quite a long time if you don't have these mapping essentials here. If at least you have a paper map, you're still going to waste a lot of time trying to navigate with your vehicle down these back roads just to get in deep to find some of these great wild camp sites. So what I utilize is this is Gaia Maps, and that comes through the cell phone and to Android Auto, and I leave that kind of zoomed out so I can travel the roads. And then I also use Onyx Hunt, not backcountry, but Onyx Hunt. Just, I'm not using it for hunting applications, I'm using it for all the layers that it has. Onyx backcountry does not have nowhere near the amount of great GIS data layers that are vital to wild camping. So I kind of use Onyx Onyx Maps app to zoom in, and then once we get to a parking spot, Onyx Maps becomes my #1 terrain navigation tool, backed up with paper maps and compass. So that's it. We're fixing to go look. I have some preliminary spots that I have picked on Onyx Maps to go scout and see if they are viable wild camp sites. So we'll be back. Okay, we are back. We have found our e-scouted location for our next wild camp establishment here in Kisatchie. What's cool about this spot is, and I didn't even know it, but this is going to be, this can be a car camping spot where you can just come pull up off from the Forest Service road, come park back here and pitch a tent. This particular spot is somewhat small. You could probably get 2 vehicles in here and at least 3 2-man tents and as many hammocks as you really want in here. But I'm going to show you Onyx Maps and what we're kind of plan to do, because from here we are going to try and establish a wild camp site location on or near a small branch or creek. I can't tell what it is yet, but this is a versatile spot. Beautiful in here too. I'm going to pan and show you. The blue dot is the phone. The waypoint brown waypoint there is the truck, right? And you can see that we have a creek or a branch or a drainage not too far away. So what I want to do is, from that waypoint, I am going to go off trail and scout, recon that area all the way down to the creek to find a good area to walk to and from to make a track on the map, and then find a viable flat area, really nice, aesthetically pleasing wild camp spot near that creek, so you have a water source while you're there. We'll have to see if there's water flowing. We've been having a drought this past summer, which was the summer of 2023, so we'll see what the water levels are like. So let's get going. So as you can see, there's the where I parked on the right, my recorded track in, and we've made it to the creek. And here's what we're looking at. Beautiful in here. I mean, beautiful. Got a nice sandbar to get down to get water. Man, that's beautiful. Now we need to find some places, flat grounds in here that we could actually camp, pitch some tents and hammocks. But Laura came through here, Hurricane Laura, I'm not sure how long ago, 3-4 years ago, and it actually did some massive damage to a lot of mature hardwood trees in here. So there's a lot of down trees. But as you can see, this is going to end up being one of my favorite little spots now, because it's so easily accessed here to get water. Not a lot of water, but there's enough in there to scoop up and boil. As you can see behind here, it's very moundy, I guess you could say, or hilly, right? So we're going to cruise around in the buffer zones of this creek and see if we can find us some flat areas to camp and establish a wild camp. Okay, so hang with us. All right, so we just made it back. In my haste of trying to maximize the day, because it's already like 2 o'clock, I did not video record the actual wild camp location. Yes, unprofessional, I get it. But we're going to have several more wild camps, at least 2, where we'll do this again and you'll see the full effect again. So we've got, you just saw the creek. We have that as a water source waypoint, just not too far from the creek, maybe 20 yards. We have a wild camp established, and then we have a track back recorded to the vehicle. So that's good. This is a really cool spot. What's really good about it is it's off a parish road. So Google Maps, Apple Maps, Waze should be able to bring you here. It's fairly easy. I'm also going to make a waypoint up at this Forest Service road. Well, it's kind of like an inlet road. I wouldn't call it a Forest Service road, but this is an inlet road that goes back to the Forest Service road, which is gravel, and you could pass it up easy. So I'm going to make a waypoint there, access point. So let's get on to our next wild camp. Hang in there. All right, well, we just made it to the next wild camp spot that we chose while e-scouting on the computer through Onyx Hunt. So it's kind of cool. It is in a piney location, but what's awesome about this is there's a great place to park, and there's a nice little pond. And what we're going to do, I'm going to establish a parking waypoint here, and then we'll record a track around the pond to get to the back, because as I'm looking at it, it looks kind of cool back there. Hopefully find a wild camp that's adequate back there, and then you definitely have a good water source. So let's take a look at it. Alright, we are recording our track. We are going to head to the back of this little pond and see if we can find some adequate spots back there to pitch some tents and hang some hammocks. Might not be a good spot, might have to, because it's very moundy again. No real good flat spots here. It's either slanting, moundy. So let's go check it out. Yeah, it's not bad. I know this little pond was a lot higher before the drought, so you never know. It doesn't look like much, but there may be a few brim and catfish stuck in there. You don't never know. So we're just gonna follow this around this little berm back here. See if there's some spots back in here to camp. Let's go. So I found a great little spot back here off the right side of the pond that would be perfect. Let me go ahead and turn around and show you. So there's the pond right there. Right back here is a little trail of that berm that I told you I was going. But right here, you have, doesn't look like much, but you got some flat spots. Right here, you got a place that you could possibly put a fire right here. You put a tent right here. You put a tent right back here. And then you can also put a tent right back either here or right here. So that's possible 4 tents. So this turned out to be a good car camping spot. To come wild camp. So let's go ahead and get established on the I'm going to establish these waypoints on the on Onyx maps, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a little bit. Alright, we're back in the truck. As you can see from the map, it's a perfect little spot. The blue dot again is me on the road. The black parking spot is, of course, a great place to park. It's actually kind of like a U-turn, so it goes from right here all the way around, and it comes back out on the road. So then we have our little access. We have our access tracks in yellow that go all around. It's pretty easy. It's probably the easiest one in the world. And then we got that great little wild camp spot at the back. So this wild camp would be a great beginner's wild camp spot. Any of the car camping spots here in Kisatchie that I pick are great for people just starting out, because most of your mapping applications like Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze or something could probably get you here on this Forest Service road, and then you park right off the Forest Service road, and then you've got maybe 100 yards to walk around the pond, and you can camp. You know, just getting started out, you know, you might want to, if it's in the winter or it's cold, pack extra blankets, clothes, food, leave it in the vehicle because it's not too far away from wild camp. If a bad storm comes, something crazy, you can get out very fast. So I'm calling this Pine Pond number 1, because I have found some other secret ponds in the National Forest. So this is going to be Pine Pond #1 Wild Camp. Try saying that quick, like 5 times. Alright, we're gonna get some B-roll and we're gonna head to our next Wild Camp possibility. Let's get going. Earlier in the video, I may or may not have talked about the importance of vehicle routing to these wild camp spots. So you can see how that blue dot right there is where we just did the Pine Pond Wild Camp, and this orange waypoint is our next possible wild camp. So I dropped pins. I'll drop pins from e-scouting on the computer or orange. They don't become a wild camp until I establish them as I visit them. So we're just gonna go, here's my finger, from here to right there, and then we're gonna go recon scout that area. So you can also see I have it on Gaia and it's going right there. So let's go. This has turned out to be kind of a dud. When you're e-scouting on aerial maps, interpreting aerial and land features from a map, you never really know until you get your feet on the ground, right? So I just discussed a little bit about streamside management zones, forestry practices, hardwood mature bottoms that are close. This happens to be a drainage. So when it comes to a drainage, it's not really established as a creek, stream, or a river. So foresters and loggers really don't have to follow those federal guidelines and laws. So what we're seeing here, as I'm about to show you, let's just go ahead and do it now. So we've walked down. Clearly you can see from behind me the elevation is higher. We're walking down, we're walking down, we're walking down, we're walking down. And right where you see these shadows in here, we actually have another pine plantation that's probably about 15 years old back here along this boundary. These trees are a lot older, 20, 25, 30 years old, and they've been thinned. But as you can see, as we get to this is the lowest area, and on the map this is the drainage, not a creek or a stream. So that's why you don't see any mature hardwoods here. Pure all pine plantation. Really, it's open, but the understory is thick. Okay, so no one wants to pitch a tent on top of stuff like this. Makes finding firewood difficult if slash is not on the ground. You could camp in these grass savannas, but again, down at the bases of these grasses, these natural grasses that grow here, is big root balls. So it looks open, but looks can be deceiving. To pitch a tent on top of these root balls, even if you run the risk of popping a hole in your tent, and then if you use a sleeping mat, you run a risk of popping a hole in your sleeping. So this would be great for hammocks, but the water source with all the drought that's down in this drainage, I doubt there's going to be a lot of water in there. You'd have to tote all your water. So for me, trying to help the wild camp beginner, this is a bit more advanced. So this is going to be one waypoint that I'm gonna mark black, put some notes and say, put these notes that I just told you in there, and this is not going, I'm not gonna establish this as a wild camp. So on to the next. So what we have here is what's called a prescribed burn, or a safe burn. Foresters use this to eliminate the underbrush, woody, hardwoody competition, so that sunlight can reach the bare soil and the pine trees have maximum absorption of nutrients and energy to help them grow. They eliminate all of the grasses, other woody shrubs, and you can see it smoldering. There's areas that are smoldering, so this was a recent prescribed burn. And see, this is great for wildlife because as the sun reaches the ground, you'll have new green legumes and grasses that'll come. This is excellent for wild turkey habitat. The more the green lush starts to grow back, the more the insects get involved in this area, the more to eat for wild turkeys. So this is this is one of the better prescribed berms that I've seen. You can easily see past 150 yards through here. This is really cool. That's a little forestry lesson for you. Well, we're on our way to our next possible wild camp location later. So we're at our next spot here. It's in the area that was prescribed burned, all upland pines. We did find a excellent car camp spot again. And the fact that it's been burned, it's nice and cleared out. But I'll give you the shot of this as well. So there happened to be a water source here. As you can see, we got a little pond. There's the truck, a place for a fire pit. It's not a fire pit because this is a wild camp area. It's just where others know this spot and have come out and had fires here. So really cool spot, easy to find. You can car camp here. No facilities, no nothing here. This is a wild camp area. All right, let's go to the next one. So here is another aspect of wild camping in general that's kind of linked. What I'm doing here is, prior to coming out here, I have used all my knowledge, skills, and abilities from forestry school, working for the Louisiana Department of Ag and Forestry, cruising timber, being in the forest industry, and as a geospatial analyst doing GIS and mapping cartography work. But you don't have to have all that, okay? Just going around to these points that I've dropped on a map to scout and recon them is just as fun as when they're all established and you know of them, you have access to these points, these tracks to go wild camp. You get ready, you pack your backpack, you get ready, you go out, you go straight to that one spot, the park, you access, you go off trail to your wild camp, and you have a beautiful time, right? But actually getting out there and searching for these spots, or doing this reconnaissance and scouting trip for points I've dropped on a map based off of GIS principles, learning that hardwoods grow along water sources such as rivers, creeks, and streams, knowing that those streamside management zones are there as a buffer to those creeks, those rivers, creeks, and streams, knowing that mature hardwoods are going to be growing there. The fact that they can't be cut down, and those are really aesthetically pleasing spots to camp, right? But I'm doing that on a map using data layers, points, polygons, and lines. So I generally have these GIS data layers that have been established over the years by various agencies, whether it be the U.S. Forest Service, whether it be state forestry entities. They can establish forest habitat polygons that tell you, okay, this area is hardwoods, this area is upland pine, this area is bottomland swamps. So if you overlay these data polygons on top of your map with the high hydrology of your rivers, creeks, and streams as lines, you can begin to have a starting point of saying, hey, I know this is going to be a nice spot with this creek here, with the mature hardwoods layer over top. I just need access with roads, trails, to get as close as I can, and then we'll go off trail. So that's how I'm finding these wild camp locations, and it's just as fun as wild camping. Spending a whole weekend coming to established and ride around the national forest. Beautiful day today. I have been immersed in the sunlight. The temps are really awesome. We have lows in the 40s, highs in the 60s, maybe low 70s, but it's just been a beautiful day to run around the woods and find these new locations. It seems like this huge area is more of an established pine plantation, but hey, I just found an easy car wild camp spot for anybody who'd like to come out here. I have established this one. So let's get on to our next wild camp possibility later. Right on the side of the road here. You wouldn't want to go off the road right here at night. It's a pretty spot though. It's craggy though. Craggy with stumps, treetops, trees, holes, rock. It's a rough area. Alright. A lot of people out on a beautiful day to come see Kisatchie Bayou. Oh, there's a lot of cars. Man, that is pretty. Look at that. Anybody can come here and park on the side of the road, come swim in the summer. Beauty. Oh, there's a lot more than 3 cars down there. A bunch of cars in there. They're just hiking back in there, I guess. It's starting. Summertime is right around the corner. So here's a big issue that while scouting for these wild camps and going down all these rock roads, Forest Service roads, as you can see on the map right here, the little black waypoint is the cemetery. We're going to show you that in a minute. But and the blue dot is actually the vehicle or the phone as we're moving. But as you can see, it shows that this road keeps going and links in to this other main road. Well, guess what?
this section right here, the glare's getting me. This section right here, it doesn't exist, or it did exist at one time. You know this has got to be maintained somewhat. So here's what that possible road would be. But look, I mean, you can't get through there. All them trees are down. But here's the little cemetery. What a beautiful place to be laid to rest. Somebody's grave's got fresh flowers out there. Old headstones. I mean, look, some of these are just rocks. This is just a rock. I got some small rocks back there too. Anyway, we're at this little cemetery. Looks like an old cedar tree. Big old cedar tree right here. So now we got to find, because that road does not go through, it's a lot of traveling, so I'm going to have to reroute, find another way around to get to the wild camp locations that I've scouted. And it is 4:38. It's been getting dark around 6 o'clock. And I still got to chop firewood at my base camp. So it's going to have to watch the time. Going to try to get one more in before we got to go back to camp. Hang with us. Alrighty, folks. We have concluded the day. Out of 6 wild camp potentials from e-scouting on the computer in our mapping application, which is Onyx Hunt apps, without ever setting foot here, we established 4 out of the 6. So 6 were not really good. So that's about a 75% success rate without even having to set foot here. So that's really good. And from about 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock now, I've been running the roads, running the back roads, hiking, recon, scouting for wild camp spots. So it gets dark. It's pretty dark around 6. I mean, so it's 5 now. So I'm at my base camp spot, which is what I have called the Watermelon Wild Camp. That is on the website. If you want to check that out, we can talk about the website later. But I'm going to gather my things, head on to base camp, and I am starving. I hadn't had anything since this morning's breakfast. So I'm going to try to get something to eat, process a little firewood, and then we're going to have a few beers, listen to the radio, and we're going to go to bed early because tomorrow my plan is I forgot to get a 360 image of one of the wild camps, so I got to go revisit that spot and get that. And then we may stop at 2 designated overlooks, which are some of the highest points here in Kisatchie National Forest, and we'll get that. And then we are going to call it a trip, and it's going to be a 3.5 hour, 4 hour drive back to New Orleans. I don't actually live in the city of New Orleans. I live in a suburb called River Ridge. If you know where the UP Long Bridge is, that's my hood. If there's any place that I want to live in New Orleans, it's River Ridge. So anyway, let's get back to camp. We'll get back to you. All right, made it back to camp. Just wanted to give you a little rundown of camp, where we are, how beautiful it is here. So here is what I'm rocking. That is the Haven tent. Kind of a tent hammock hybrid. Got my chair, got my pack. But as you can see, this is the perfect example of a really good wild camp, aesthetically pleasing, plus flatter type area. Notice the hardwoods that are in here, very little understory for you to walk around. I mean, y'all saw a good example of all, the pine upland habitat and how that understory is with those grasses and shrubs. But this is just beautiful in here. You got one big bottom that way. You got another big bottom that way with that ridge. It's pretty. And then for a water source, although there's no river, creek, or stream, this is a little woods pond here. And what's very unique about this is that it's way back in the woods. This is the pond, but if you look close, right? Let's see. If you look close here, we have the remnants barbed wire. And it goes around this whole little pond. So, in the comments, what do you think that is? I'm going to tell you what it is. But, anyway, so, years ago, 1900s, all the way up to now, this whole area was probably farmland, or completely cleared and pasture. Someone had a homestead, maybe, and they built this fence around this pond to keep the cattle from getting into the pond. There are a lot of ponds where cattle can go in, but when it comes to cattle and water ponds for them to get in, you got to make sure they can get out. And something like this was probably created because if they got in, they may not be able to get out. It's probably not a hard bottom, and then you have a pretty steep incline with these berms that are around the pond for them to try to climb out. So that's what this is. The water is not great as far as cleanliness, or should I say clearness, if that's a word. But you can boil this water, you can filter it. So you do have a water source here. And this has made it through the 2023 summer of drought here in Louisiana, in central Louisiana. So it'll eventually fill back up. So I'm going to get a little firewood processed before it gets dark. Darkness is knocking on the door. And then I'll bring y'all back a little later to chat when I get something to eat. Okay? Later. Alright, well, we are here. Mosquitoes are a little bad. Just put on some mosquito dope, as we call it here in the South. Hopefully that keeps them away, but they're flying. Anyway, today's meal, Mountain House. I haven't tried this, fettuccine Alfredo chicken. So, I'm gonna get some water going. We have our stove. This is the Sato Windmaster with the flex stand. Love this stove. Looks great. Got my little stand support for it. Let's see. this, you know, they always say 1 1/3 cups, 11 fluid ounces. But if you put it all, it's soupy. So I'm going to put 1 cup. Definitely going to do 1 cup. Got my little measuring deal here. Remnants from the coffee this morning. I'm hungry. Had a good day. It's been beautiful. Temps have been beautiful. I can't beat it. I really can't. Just going to do 1 cup. This was left over from this morning in case I wanted a second cup of coffee, which I did not do. Oh, what am I doing? Jackass. Let's do that. Let's do this. Things are different when you get out here. Don't have everything readily available. No counter space. Nothing. Gotta find level areas. Gotta adapt. Just a tad bit more. It doesn't have to be perfect, Scott. Jesus. Just a little bit more. Well, I would love to know in the comments what everybody thinks about southern wild camping. How I go about locating them using GIS and forestry practices through e-scouting on the computer in a mapping program. Do you do that? How do you do it? What kind of success have you had? I've been doing this close to 4.5 years now, like serious trying to establish. Started out that first year just acquiring all my gear, because it takes time to acquire all this gear. So although it takes time to acquire the gear, you know, you use what you have, you go out, you test things. So that's what I did that first year, and then being a GIS analyst, I'm like, I know there is some magic into using some of these geographic, cartographic layers available. Tree species, tree habitat, hydrology, which is a fancy term for water, elevation, contours, all these things. There's a way to tell a story. There's a way to find or locate an area of interest, AOI, right, that is suitable to establish a wild camp that has somewhat flat surfaces, mature hardwoods, it's aesthetically pleasing, a water source that you can use, being relatively short distances to and from your park area and where you camp. That's very important to me, because you never know what type of physical shape someone's in. You know, they might not hike 10 miles a day or 5 miles a day. It was important to have the distances to and from my wild camps starting out at 200 yards to a maximum of 1,000. I mean, that's pretty good little jaunt in, especially if you're off trail. You know, off trail hiking, it's fun because, like I said, mantra of Wild Camp South is hike less, camp more, explore everywhere. But when you wild camp and you get off trail to hike, you've got to slow things down. On a well-maintained or well-established hiking trail, you can get a pace going, and that's what true hikers and backpackers in. They're wanting to put on miles, they're wanting to reach certain goals per night. Here, it's all lackadaisy. You know, it's not about stressing yourself out and doing all that type stuff. Short distances in, but when you start off-trail hiking, you've got a lot of obstacles to tend to. You will have some underbrush, waist high, chest high, that you'll have to dodge, you'll have to break through. You will have, because the forest floor is so littered with leaves and debris, especially any place that has southern pines, there will be stump holes. And you can't see them. So when you get off trail hiking, slow and steady. Just slow and steady. Look at your surroundings. Use your navigation tools, whether it's a compass, paper map, or using digital navigation, such as your cell phone with a mapping app or your GPS. You just really want to slow go it all the way in and be self-aware. Feel with your feet. You can't just take off, you know. But it's very rewarding. You know, more and more people are, they are crowding the campgrounds. Had a buddy that hunted here in the Kisatchie, said he'll never do it again in this one spot because it was an established campground. Okay, there's no power. I think it's the Coyote Camp, which is near the Longleaf Vista Highway. But you know, that can fit a few dozen campers and tents and this, that, and the other. They do have vault toilets and water spigot. They do have, I think they just redid them. They got some rock pads and lantern hangers and maybe a few fire grills. I'm not sure, but as far as showers, electric hookups, it's not. So a ton of people pulled in there. Hunters probably, you know, they're in older motorhomes and campers, and they just run the generators outside all night long. So if you're a tent camper or a hammock camper, you're listening to a generator out in the what's supposed to be peaceful, beautiful surroundings. That's becoming more prevalent. We're seeing here in the South. So, what else do I want to chat about? Oh, the website. So the website is easy, wildcampsouth, all one word, .com. Check that out. You can find out more about me, Wild Camp South, what we do, the philosophy, background, what we view wild camping is, and how we're trying to bring awareness to the self-sustained southern wild camp outdoor recreationist, because you got to admit, wild camping, also deemed dispersed camping, especially out west, it's a micro niche. You know, hiking, backpacking, car camping, everybody knows that. But when you talk about wild camping or dispersed camping, you know, it's primitive camping off a beaten trail in an area that's lawful to do so while self-sustaining yourself with everything that you need for the duration of your stay. You know, there is no facilities, water, spigots, anything like that. So you can also go there and visit these wild camp sites that I have established. I've created 360-degree panoramas of each one with notes about each one. You can order a wild camp report there. You can go ahead and look at the wild camps that I have. I have 21 wild camps for the HATCHET National Forest, which is in southwest Mississippi, and I'm really just starting out with the Kisatchie. I have a lot more wild camps to establish, but that's what this weekend is part of. I'm picked up 4 this weekend to my original 5. So I got 9 wild camps now in Kisatchie. I want to pop around. What I'd love to know for anybody who's listening, knows the Kisatchie well, drop in the comments some really beautiful, peaceful, hardwood areas of the Kisatchie that you may know that I can check out, because we have multiple ranger districts within the Kisatchie National Forest. We got the Kisatchie Ranger District, Catahoula Ranger District, Caney Ranger District, Winn Ranger District, and there's one more that I'm forgetting, the Calcasieu Ranger District. So I'd like to even them out and put them in each of these ranger districts so that people have multiple choices of, you know, depending on where they live and where to go, and to really get a good overall Kisatchie wild camp establishment of these sites to see, not just in one place. So it's starting to get dark. I'm gonna eat something. Oh, and you can contact me there. You just like I said, you can look at each of the wild camps that I've established so far. You can order a wild camp report if you would like to go. I send you, I think it's an 18 to 20 page report with all of the waypoints that you need, the tracks that you need, miscellaneous notes that you may want to know or need for each site. There's some information on dispersed camping in National Forest, rules and regs there, who to contact. I also have gone through and done a painstaking search on, like, where's the nearest police station, where's the nearest ranger station, where is the nearest hospital, where's the nearest place to go eat and get gas. What about if your car doesn't start? Where's the nearest mechanic shop or a tow truck? I mean, if you get stuck out here, you need somebody to come get you. So I have a ton of those things listed on that report. It's really cool. I am doing this also to write a guidebook of sorts. So there'll be one guidebook on the Kisatchie National Forest and one on the HATCHET National Forest, where I put all these reports that I kind of do now. These reports are smaller. They're catered to folks who order it and want to know how to get here, get to these wild camps. But the book will encompass all the waypoints and all the information. It's going to take some while to do, but I've got to do the legwork now. I mean, it's not easy. Y'all are watching a video. It's been cut down, right, to a length. But I've been at it since 10 o'clock, and it's 6:12 now. And of the 6 potential wild camps, 4 were the keepers. And you have to drive to them. You have to hike to them. I have to evaluate the site. I take pictures of the site. I record waypoints and tracks to and from each site. I take a 360-degree image with a 360 camera. In case you want to know, it's a Ricoh Theta X. It's awesome 360 camera. If you want to know something, just write in the comments. But yeah, so that's the website. Also, we have a Facebook group, La Miss Wild Camp Alliance. La, L-A, Louisiana, Miss, M-S, Mississippi, Wild Camp Alliance. La Miss Wild Camp Alliance. Just search us. And I'm keeping that group to only locals of Louisiana and Mississippi. So if you'd like to find out more, ask questions, the community's there, share pictures of your own wild camps, go ahead and join the group. So that's what I'm doing. I will bring y'all back a little later when I do. You know what? Let's show the fire real quick before it gets dark. Be right back. It's starting to get dark. I've kind of done my setup. I've got mainly medium branches on each side. I always do a little square. Go down to barren soil. Get all that leaf litter out. And I create a little square with some rotten branches around the soil perimeter. Then right here in the front I have my pencil or needle branches. Then we have the smaller branches. Again, we got medium to large branches, real large branches there. I have a bunch of pine cones right here. If you're watching this and you're not from the south, these loblolly pine cones are excellent fire starters. Also have some pine bark. You just go around and finding some. This stuff is great. Can actually break small pieces off and put them all together and stack them up. Put a rubber band or some cordage around it. Keep it in your fire tinder. That's what I do. So I got some loblolly pine bark. Got an empty cigarette box. Get that? And it's getting dark. Amazing. We'll get that little bit going. Put this away, and then we'll go eat, and then we'll come back later. We'll come back later for some fireside chat and some brew, maybe. See what's on the AM, FM dial out in the middle of nowhere. Show you my radio, which I think I already did. I can't remember. It's been a crazy day. Hang in there. Well, we are enjoying this beautiful night. Got the old Coors banquet going right here, which you can't see, I'm sure. Fire's going good. We're listening to some interview talk radio with a African American banjo player. She plays folk and bluegrass. It was really interesting. So hopefully won't get flagged on YouTube. But this is a little slice of heaven from central Louisiana, the Kisatchie National Forest, the Kisatchie Ranger District, which is just west of Alexandria. So again, for the morning, I might try to wake up super early and go to a spot and see if I can hear some wild turkeys gobble in the morning, because I saw 3 today at a certain spot across the road right in front of me. That might be fun to do, but you got to wake up, be there at the crack of dawn. Not sure if I'll make it. If not, reiterating what I said today, we'll go check out those 2 lookouts in the Kisatchie that are deemed the lookout areas, some of the highest points in Kisatchie National Forest. I can't look up the actual altitude because I have no service. But then we're going to go back to the first wild camp that I established. I need to get a 360-degree panorama image of that because I forgot to do it. So I got to walk back in, walk back out. But it's not a bad hike in. And then we will end this video. We will end this weekend of wild camp scouting and reconning. And we will add 4 more wild camps to the current 5 that I have. And that's pretty good. We got to get to 20 to 25 is what I'd like to do for Kisatchie. 25 seems a little better because I'm getting a lot of car camps. So these are areas you're really close to a Forest Service road. You can just pull right in, set up camp. So might want to establish a few more true wild camps where you got to get off the beaten path. I'm really hoping to bring some awareness to this wild camping. I think it's something that's not really thought about or done. Like a lot of times you get some veterans of the outdoors, veteran hunters, or even just rural folk that live out here. And you try to tell them what wild camping is and all these fancy GIS mapping, forestry terms, waypoints, digital e-scouting, and I had one old guy say, well, you know, I walk across the road. I'm lucky to be close to the forest boundary. I'll just grab an old leather knapsack or some kind of brown sack or old school bag from them kids and throw a bunch of water in there, Spam. Make sure I got my pocket knife and my 22. And I just walk across the road and just walk in as far as I can until I find me a nice open spot. And that's it, man. I primitive camp there and enjoy it. And you know, for a lot of people, or maybe not a lot of people, but for some people, wild camping can be as easy as this scenario I just told you about. But for most folks, you know, I think I cater to a lot of hikers and backpackers here, and the tent car campers at like state campgrounds or established campgrounds. So I'm trying to bring awareness to this to show them that you can get away from the established campgrounds, with the big motorhomes, travel trailers. You know, it's almost like a suburb now. I mean, your camp is right next to someone else. You know, you have pads and all. And I'm not poo-pooing that type of camping at all. But as I interview people and talk to more people, hikers and this and that, it seems like there is a growing number of people who want to get away from even the campground scene. Because you have to realize, though, if you're that type of person, you got to be comfortable with self-sustaining yourself, with using the restroom, the bathroom outdoors, how to properly do that. You need to get some sort of education and skill set when it comes to mapping, land navigation. That is paramount for wild camping, so that you don't get lost. I know you can find your way back. So feel free to leave some comments. I'm not going to stay too long yapping here in the darkness. We'll pick this up in the morning. Well, we're all packed up. Took a little while to get packed up. Didn't wake up at 5 o'clock to go hear the turkeys gobble, but woke up at 7, had my coffee, and packed up. So, just like we said when we left you, we are going to go check out 2 designated overlooks in the Kisatchie National Forest, some of the highest points, and we'll show you that, and then we're going to go ahead and end this video, and that will be it. So we'll be right back. We'll take some B-roll of the Kisatchie. Hang in there. So, as you can see on the map, not everything is always correct on your map. Blue dot is me, so the actual mapping app has a binocular icon and it says overlook. Clearly this is not an overlook, or it was at one time before the trees grew. So let me show you what we're looking at here. I don't even really have to get out the vehicle. So there's a trail going that way with a berm so that motorized vehicles cannot get through. We have some blue trees here that are marked for deletion. And we have another road. So that was Overlook 1. So now we're going to go to Overlook 2 and see if it's there. I'm determined to find one of these overlooks because I've told, one is called Eagle Overlook. So I'm told they're pretty cool. So let's go find that one. Be back. So here's something we're not accustomed to in Louisiana, and that's rock formations. That's really cool. Onward to the next lookout. Hey, that could be a car camp spot right there for a wild camp. Right by the rock formations. In case you want to know where these rock formations are and that car camp spot is, it's down Forest Service Road 378, which I was hoping to lead me to an overlook, which it did not. So onward to the next. Just off Forest Service Road 350, we have one of the old fire towers and facilities for the Forest Service. Pretty cool. I love the stone outlay there. But there it is. Used to climb that. To look for fires. All right. Onwards to the lookout, hopefully. Okay, so here's an interesting fact when it comes to prescribed burning and forestry type work. Here we're looking at a clear cut, elevation. But if you look here, where they've done the prescribed burn, it really must have got hot. And because if you look at the tops of those mid-level pines, all those needles are burned. So that fire got hot and it got high. That's one indication on the intensity of some of these prescribed fires. Usually you don't want them to get that high, and a lot of this too, it may not be the fire. We've also had severe drought in 2023, like I've been saying, and that led to an outbreak of southern pine beetle, which got into a lot of trees and destroyed a lot of trees. So it would be interesting to talk to a forester to see if that was prescribed fire, high intensity, that burned those needles brown up into the top of the crown, or if it's pine beetle outbreak. But you can see just across this ridge here, we got the smolderings of a fire. Onward to the lookout. Well, we have made it to an overlook here in the Kisatchie National Forest. So it may not be the Rockies out west or the Poconos out east, but for central Louisiana, this is our elevation mountainous spot. There's also a great lookout on Longleaf Vista Road too, called the Longleaf Vista Overlook. This one is just off of Forest Service Road 350. There it is. I should have known the elevation, but I'll pop that up on the screen, the elevation here. So we've come to the end of the video. If you've hung with us this far, thank you so much for hanging out with us. Please like, share, and subscribe. Also, if you know someone, particularly in the state of Louisiana and South Mississippi, who would enjoy this, share this video with them as well. It helps out the channel and helps bring awareness to southern wild camping in general. If you'd like to know more about what's going on with southern wild camping, visit my website at wildcampsouth.com, and feel free to join the LMIS Wild Camp Alliance Facebook group. Just look that up. Would love to have you there. We're a growing group, started from nothing. We now have 609 members who share their outings and photos, and it's a great community. Occasionally I go live there with how-to videos too. Thanks again, and we will be back with another video soon.